In this film, I'm going to look at the pros and cons of using a tripod. First is the pros and cons of shooting handheld. The bottom line is it's really down to personal preference, and it's up to you whether you use a tripod or shoot handheld. There are lots of photographers out there who shoot every single shot on a tripod, and others who don't use them at all and shoot everything handheld. So what are the advantages of using a tripod, and what are the advantages of shooting handheld, and what are the disadvantages of them both? I've been a professional cameraman and photographer for nearly 30 years. I know I don't look old enough, but in that time I've covered everything from wars and conflicts, and I've shot landscapes and portraits. So through my experience, I know when to use a tripod and when to shoot handheld. But if you're starting out, you may not know that. So why don't we start this film by looking at the use of a tripod. The obvious answer is that a tripod gives you a stable platform for your camera and lens. And having that stability means that you can use slower shutter speeds, so for long exposures or in low light, for example, and it reduces the risk of introducing camera shake into your images. So to get a shot of this waterfall with the effect of the water being smoothed out, I need to have a slow shutter speed, a long exposure. And of course I can do that handheld, but I'm going to introduce camera shake into the image. So to reduce that, I need to put it on a tripod. Tripod is a valuable tool, especially if you intend to bracket your exposures or focus stack the scene that's in front of you. And because it's on a tripod, it means the composition is set, it's fixed, and therefore it's easier to blend those images together in post-production. Using a tripod isn't very flexible. Once you're set up, you are stuck in this position, and you can end up faffing around and lose a lot of time trying to tweak that composition. And if the light kicks off behind you, you then have to unmount the camera, turn around and find that shot. So yeah, it's not very flexible at all. It's quick. You can react to situations a lot faster. If the sky lights up behind me, I can easily move myself into position. I'm not tied to one composition. So for me, it's easy to adapt and move around. Essentially, you are free. You have to be aware of your shutter speed a lot more and constantly think about the shutter speed rule. A very rough guide to bear in mind when hand-holding a camera is to use a shutter speed that is faster than the focal length of the lens. So for example, I'm using a 50mm lens here, so my shutter speed should be 1/50th of a second or faster. If I change that lens to a 200mm, then my shutter speed should be 1/200th or faster. It shouldn't fall below that. If it does, you run the risk of getting camera shake. Now, all new cameras have really good stabilization, whether it's built into the body or the lens, so those rules can be broken a little bit. You can't really shoot long exposures, slow shutter speeds or any low light photography. Well, you can, but the results will be a bit rubbish. Or as I like to call it, arty. Definitely arty. There's nothing physical to tie me to this spot and this composition. And that may mean that you rush the shot and then you can just move on to the next one very quickly. And also, if you're going to bracket your exposures or focus stack that image, you're doing it handheld, and that means you're going to find it very difficult in post-processing trying to align those images up. I said right at the start of the film that it's down to personal preference. It's really up to you whether you use a tripod or shoot handheld. There are advantages and disadvantages to both methods, and that's something you'll have to experiment and figure out for yourself. But if you want to keep your kit weight down, be quick and react to the light that's happening around you, then go handheld. If you want to slow things down, shoot low shutter speeds, slow shutter speeds, and be able to do long exposures and shoot in low light, then use a tripod. There's only one way to figure that out, and that is to get out there, experiment, and figure out what works for you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this film a like and comment down below. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Okay.